Left coast is the best coast. Left coast is the best coast.
Arr.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey!
Just rocking out.
Lasers. He's got freaking lasers.
Freaking lasers, man.
So I
fireworks.
called it a few weeks ago, and I have to call it again. And to do that, I have to stay on brand.
Rick has got a crazy theory. Rick is...
So we're starting out. We're starting out with the theory.
Well, because the intro reminded me. Neil, our favorite blue elephant kid, will do the truffle shuffle in the finale of Skeleton Crew.
Yeah,
It has to happen. It has to happen.
Yeah.
He's gonna do the. Do you see his dad had tusks?
Yeah.
Yeah. His dad
Yeah,
looks mean as F too, man. Like he looks like
his
he
dad looked like a real elephant guy.
It
Like
looks like he doesn't
tusks
play
like
catch
one
with them in the park and stuff. Like he looks like a mean dad.
Serious. I wonder what his job is. He must be like a.
So it's settled. It's settled. Those are definitely not Max Rebo.
Not Max Rebo. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're close though. Hello, Ricardo. Captain Spaulding.
Hey, Ricardo. Geek
And Dino.
Strong,
Okay.
Orlando, Captain
How do I
Spaulding.
mute? How do I temporary block Dino in? I have to go to Facebook to do that, or YouTube. Sorry. Rolando.
Oh, the Space Bandito. How you doing, sexy?
So, first question I have to ask is, Dino, did you like this episode, or are you gonna lie?
Yeah, are you still being a curmudgeon? Did you actually like?
I really think that this series was made for Dino.
For Dean.
I don't know. I know Dino pretty well, I think, and his tastes. Like, I know if he dips like his chocolate bar in the peanut butter jar, or puts sardines on his craft dinner. Like, I know certain things. No, I don't know any of that. But I think Dino would like this freaking show, for crying out loud. It's been a lot of fun. That's been my favorite word to use with this show. Like, it's an adventure. It has children characters in it. It's got freaking Wolfman and Hammerheads, and come on, man, spaceships that transform into other spaceships, glowing green clouds around planets. Like, it's just
the Maelstrom.
It's very Star Warsy, and it adds a little bit more of that Star Wars element. I think every episode, like they're like, oh, let's save the lightsaber lighting until episode 7. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's all the little bit of Star Wars stuff. We had an outright execution, like from one of the main characters. So they're giving us all the, I don't want to call them member berries, but they're giving us all the good stuff. Like, it's, I don't think I can't point out any weak points from this most recent episode. I saw your review, so there's a few. We can talk about them as we get to that time in the episode and the slides. But it's been pretty positive for me. Like, I think it's obvious they spent some good American dollars making this project, and I think it shows. Like, I think if they spent this much money on Kenobi, I would have liked it a lot more, because Kenobi seemed like you could see the curtains moving in the background, and it didn't feel like a high-end Lucasfilm production to me. Had the actors and all the music and good stuff like that, but it was missing some elements that I think Andor and now this show, over top of everything else they've done, Acolyte, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, even Ahsoka, this show and Andor have the higher production costs, and it shows to me. What do you guys think about, I guess I'll say, practical effects and Andor more so the on location stuff, but even with this show, Skeleton Crew, I don't notice a lot of the stagecraft. They blend it in well, or the way they're they're panning and zooming and, you know, cropping all the stuff for us to see is top of the line. Like I have to say that again. Like hats off to the director and whoever it is. If it's the same cinematographer every episode, if not, then we'll have to give the director that credit. But this episode I thought was one of the most dynamic and would have looked the best on the screen, to be honest.
Hey, G-Force. Oh, I don't know. I just feel like this episode was a lot better than any other. It was probably the best one so far. And for me, what last week and this week, what they've done is it's elevating the show for me. Like when the show started, I was sitting around 50%. You know what I mean? And like I said, I didn't want to give it a rating early on because I wanted to wait until I felt how the show was going overall. Sure. And the more and more we get into it and where we are now, I'm higher up like 80%. You know what I mean? And I have a feeling that by the time we end up finished, you know, what is there, one more or two more? By the time
one more.
We're done,
so we can shed our little tear now because
to the nitty gritty now.
Now that it's getting good, or not getting good, but getting better to
yeah,
the point where we're like, this is awesome. It's only like, let's just say, let's all agree. There's an hour or less left.
yeah.
I don't think they're gonna.
I just have a feeling by the
finale.
end. I just have a good feeling about this show now, and by the end, it's probably going to hit up around 90% for the full show. You know what I mean? And I'm looking forward to actually watching it uninterrupted back to back, like binge the whole thing
definitely.
in one showing, because I think that it's going to have a different impact on me. Because I've watched every single one of them, like Obi-Wan, Acolyte. Well, I haven't rewatched the Acolyte, sorry, but Obi-Wan and Ahsoka and all them I've rewatched, and the only one I still have an issue with is Book of Boba Fett. Like, I mean, I'm in the camp where I think, I mean, Obi-Wan as it came out was iffy, but when I watched it a few weeks back to back nonstop, like spent half the day just having it on. And I actually enjoyed it as a whole film, like put as one whole entity. You know what I mean?
So Boba Fett, I think, is only half of a movie, like so far.
Yeah. So some of these things I think would benefit from being put out in a format that you can watch in one whole sitting with no beginning or end credits. Like edit it together in a second way, like give the option. I still say it over and over again, but I want the option of watching these as 1 3-hour movie or a 4-hour movie instead of, you know, like you can still keep the episodes up, but do a re-edit and say, here it is uncut, you know, just one full 4-hour movie, you know, like that would be cool. I felt that way about Mandalorian season 1. I feel that way about Obi-Wan, and now this show might be one of those as well, you know?
Yeah, Mando season 1 blew me away. So as I look at all these series so far on Disney Plus on the Star Wars side, I had high expectations for all of them beforehand, just because it's like I'm confident that Lucasfilm can produce good live action Star Wars content.
One would like to think so, yes.
I was even confident, you know, in the 90s and then in the 2000s when they made the sequels. Even after the sequels, I was still confident, hey, these are going to be good. And then Mando blew me away. I'm like, wow, they couldn't have showed me a better new Star Wars product to be proud of and happy to see. And Mando did that. So then I'm like, oh, well, then freaking Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett and Acolyte, like we didn't know about all of them at the time, but I thought, well, these are going to have to be good. If Mando is this good, and now we're getting like Boba Fett, well, yeah. How could it be bad? So I went into them thinking nothing but the best, like spared no expense, as the scientists in Jurassic Park would say. Mm-hmm. But then Kenobi and Ahsoka and Acolyte happened because I liked Boba Fett, but I saw the low production value, and I'm like, no, this is not the best you guys can do. It's not. Yeah. And if any of you in charge go out and interview and you say, wow, this is the best work we've ever done, you're lying, or you should be fired, or both.
Mhm.
But so again, going into this series, I had high expectations, and now it's surpassed them because my high expectations were like, oh, well, it's got to be as good as, or it's only got to be better than Ahsoka and the Acolyte, the worst of the worst, and then Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett. And then if it's better than Mando, then wow, then they've got the super secret sauce and the recipe or whatever.
It's like regards to Dean's earlier comment about us being so thirsty for Star Wars, it's
I don't get that. We've had a Star Wars every couple months. How could we be thirsty for Star Wars?
Well, I think and he may not mean it this way, but the way I take it and agree with him is when you see, like I feel about Ahsoka the way Rick does, but certainly when you see Ahsoka or Acolyte, then yeah, you do get thirsty for something that is better, But
yeah, okay, I see that. Yeah.
And I don't know if that's exactly how, because here's the thing, right? Like I think we've all established we are fans, no matter what, and we all watched the Acolyte, right? Like even though a lot of us may have over it by episode 3, we all are thirsty for something that we think is really awesome. So we watch the whole thing,
there you go.
So that's I completely.
But I didn't mean edit anything out. I mean do a full 4-hour movie. I don't mean edit anything. I don't mean edit it down to a 2-hour movie.
Sure, just don't have a little break.
I just mean cut out the intro and the credits and just do a. If it's a 4-hour movie, it's a 4-hour movie. Yeah.
I think just about everything that's been brought out, except maybe Mandalorian, would all benefit in that, like what you're talking about, John. The Mandalorian was like, it kind of conjured up the same old-timey shows that we used to watch, where even if you don't watch them in order, they're entertaining, and whatever's going on kind of begins and ends in that episode. Like like Seinfeld was like that, or even like Kojak, or The Saint. Kojak. Like each one was individually good, and there wasn't a whole lot of them that had to be watched chronologically or made sense.
Can anyone, one of my mods, just put Dino in a timeout for 1 minute, please?
Yeah, I know.
So I saw this tweet just before we went live of them. A rumor has it they've cast a replacement for the late Ray Stevenson as Baylan Skoll, and it's none other than this guy called the Hound, not the Mountain, the Hound from Game of Thrones, which is one of the better parts of Game of Thrones too, is this character.
No, it's one of the only reasons to watch it, I think.
And I don't have a better picture of him to show. This is just the article, even though he's all mangled and whatnot. What do you think of this? If this is a casting reveal,
I think
it's all right. I mean, he's as tall and big enough, Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's good that he's not as, not to shoot the actor down, but not as big a star as some of the other rumors or fan casts that we've seen out there, right? So I think it could be good, man. This guy was a great actor in Game of Thrones.
As long as it's if they want to recast the guy, because hopefully right when Baylan was standing on the edge of the statue, right? It's like it was almost like the very end of Acolyte. You're thinking, oh, now we're into the good stuff.
And that's the best part of that whole Ahsoka series.
Yeah,
he was his character and the story arc between him and his Padawan, Shin Hati. See, I remember all the names when I'm done watching the series. I think the Skeleton Crew, it took me 4 episodes to remember all the kids' names, but I got them now. And I don't know. This guy could be one of the most handsome people in Hollywood, but like I said, I don't think I've ever seen him not all mangled and butchered as the Hound.
Yeah, I don't even know anything else he's been.
So yeah, that's makeup. Everyone in the chat, he doesn't really look like that.
Yeah, he's not really burned horrifically, right?
Yeah.
No, I think if they're gonna cast that guy with the idea of they had more of a story for Baylan, and they don't want to. I wouldn't want them to I want to see that. So if we need to recast a guy that's close enough, like it doesn't have to be perfect. We've watched plenty of shows in our 45, 50 years on the planet where, episode 2 is played by a different person.
Come on, you all know
That's all right.
I'm just 30.
I know you're 18.
The voice of reason. Oh, he's touched all right.
The only person that's not a mod.
But I'd have to like hold Dino, not hold him, but grasp him by his teeny weeny shoulders and biceps and look him in the eye and ask him, did you seriously dislike this series? Just to get, because I have the Force as well, just to tell if he's lying or not, right? I can't tell reading.
You think he's messing with us?
Well, because every one of his texts has a muscle and a smiley face, so it's hard to tell if he's serious or not.
I mean, I don't think this is any kind of Star Wars masterpiece. I don't know if we'll be rewatching this every year, but it's definitely not terrible.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not in any kind of 80, 90 percentile, but it does not suck. I think I can say that with a lot of positivity. It doesn't suck. And I've only had a real big issue with the one episode, that I thought was just kind of like a.
I really would wonder what kids think about it, and I don't actually mean like today even. I mean like look back at it 10 years from now. Are children that are watching it now with their parents going to 10 years from now look back at it as that was a great time. I enjoyed that show so much. I'm now a Star Wars fan. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
Or is this something that's just going to go away once it's done, where they don't think about it again?
I saw Shabby saying that his 12-year-old that he was, watching it with has been enjoying it.
Yeah, I've seen a few people mention they're watching it with their kids too, of different ages.
Maybe some of us see it. We can say, oh, when we were 12, we might have enjoyed it, but that's hard to know. And then, of course, the mentality of people our age when we were 12 is not the mentality of today's 12-year-olds, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Guts.
Mr. B.
Good hello, Mr. friend. B.
I think that
I agree with I don't
like
think
right
that
now
wrong.
it's mostly adults watching this. Like if I pull up my Magic Statsometer guide, it'll show me that mostly people older than 30 watching this series. But I think in the future, a couple of kids will see it with their dads because they're Star Wars fans like us, and I think a lot of those kids are not forced, but born into Star Warsdom. Like when you're 1 day old and you come home, you see your dad's stormtrooper helmet on the shelf, and so the kids it's kind of in them if they like it or not. But I think a couple of cool kids on the block will see this and like it and pass it on to the other kids. And I think over time this will become a little more popular with the youths.
With the youths.
But I originally thought it was made for people like me, my generation, and also the prequel generation, 20 years younger than us. And I think I'm right. I think it is made for exactly those people. And those are the people I'm seeing are liking it. There's still a select few I see disliking it. But they disliked it before it came out. And their opinion can't change. It's fixed.
Right.
Because they're Android people. Right?
Well, and they might have an entire presence on the internet as being that. That's like a very popular thing, right?
Hello, Sherry.
Hey, Sherry.
The lovely Sherry.
Dino says that he understands me liking it, but not lacking Rick because you guys are grown men.
I do not fault. Like I've seen a lot of the things that Dean has been saying. Which again, like you said, it comes with a smile emoji and all that. But I don't think he's unreasonable by saying 5 out of 10. If we think
I do because I don't think Dino would rate E.T. or Goonies, which I think are very comparable to this series, as 5s out of 10. I think I'm assuming Dino is a huge fan of those just as much as he is like the Flintstones or, He-Man or a lot of the other pop culture that we all had from his generation. So I still think Dino's pulling our leg, and he gets a big hard on every Wednesday night at 6:00.
No, I'm a dumb child.
I'm not the only one.
I'm just a little dumb.
I do not think Dean is out of line with his 5 out of 10. I might out of I don't know why, but I might give it a little bit higher, but I don't think that's unreasonable in if Andor is 10 and the original trilogy is 11, then this does snugly have to be in the between 5 and 7.
Yeah, I guess that's reasonable. Yeah.
Like somebody like
stuff that way. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You love hammerheads, and so like Rick, you love hammerheads, so you're going to be above a 5. And like
I think there's 2 points added every episode per hammerhead that I see.
And from right, and I completely understand that. I completely understand that. And if if somebody really loved a different character and it was in there, it would be the same thing. But if if you're love a certain character who's not in there, and you're just basing it off what all of these other, I wouldn't say more reasonable things, but for lack of a better term, like Star Wars-esque things, and like I don't think 5 is being a curmudgeon necessarily.
No, you wouldn't pass the test or even get a medal in a race, but I'll accept it.
I'll accept it.
It's an opinion, right? You can't be wrong.
Right.
Dino can be wrong, but
I think at some point, I think a person can be wrong. You go to film class and they ask you questions, and AFI or whoever decides what is the 100 greatest films of the 20th century. So, I guess you can be wrong in a sense.
Maybe your last comment was pretty bang on, Dino. I want to be a little more serious. And like I said right at the beginning, or maybe we weren't on air yet, but I feel that as we've progressed to these 7 episodes, I feel like they've added a little serious factor per episode as it went on, and to where we see like another execution, and we see a little. The emotion we see in this episode more at the end is, the kids hugging their parents and stuff like that. So there's that good emotion. They got that fun, celebratory kind of music playing, that you would hear in most kind of adventure stories. But it was, I think they're adding a little more. Like, I don't think we're going to see the blood and guts and the lightsaber battle we saw in the Acolyte. Like, that was very adult.
Yeah, I think I get where Geek Strong's coming from now, because he's like, I want it to be more serious. I think that's why I gave it a 5. For me, Star Wars shouldn't be Goonies or E.T. Like, he likes Goonies and E.T. He thinks it's a masterpiece, but he doesn't think Star Wars should be Goonies.
Yeah,
so that does make sense to me.
No, exactly.
And it's something that I've thought about with Star Wars in particular, because I know on one of the streams, whatever one I was on, I don't remember which one I said this, but I was like, I don't understand why Star Wars, the people in charge, don't find, like, for me, I want other genre of films to be adapted into a Star Wars story. So where this is one of those things, they took a genre of films like Goonies and E.T. and adapted it for Star Wars into Skeleton Crew. And I personally like that kind of stuff, because I want to see adventures in the Star Wars universe from a different point of view, from a different genre, in a sense. And that where I was getting at with was like if we see hit shows on TV, like let's say NCIS, that's a big hit. It's been going for 22 seasons.
Depends
Why
on which.
not get writers who do those kind of shows to write for Star Wars and do a Star Wars cop show? You know what I mean? Where you like Carson Teva and
what does NCIS stand for?
You know what I mean? They're like make up this NCIS team but it's in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
Why
So
not
let's
take
put
the
it
people
together.
who made
Let's put
Band
it
of
together right
Brothers?
now by coming up with a name. What does NCIS stand for? Like,
It's the Navy Criminal Investigation something or whatever. It's the
so
Navy.
now we call it like the Jedi Criminal Investigation.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean,
Oh, wouldn't it be better if it was from like an Imperial standpoint?
Imperial.
yeah, maybe that. Yeah,
like Jag.
but I
or
mean,
something
but
like
I mean,
that.
like, get the people who wrote and did Band of Brothers, or people who are familiar with doing those type of shows.
Yeah,
and
I like that idea.
Make a war story Star Wars in the Star Wars
like
universe.
A platoon of
You know,
whoever,
like
stormtroopers or rebels.
Get
And
people.
somehow
who
you
did-
got to get the Peacemaker and Reacher involved and get
Yeah,
them.
you know what I mean? Like, just take teams that made successful shows that are not Star Wars and take their genre and adapt it for Star Wars.
Oh,
but maybe that's not for everyone. Maybe what Dino's comment tells me is, from his perspective, no, you don't want to go outside the genre of Star Wars and adapt stuff that doesn't fit in, you know what I mean? Almost, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
I think it would be because the original trilogy definitely based in the traditional Western, samurai, right? But it has to do with, which mostly would have to do with right and wrong and justice and the oppression of a tyrannical government.
Yeah, it definitely had politics, and then
But
it got heavier politics in the prequels.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and
it's
I think you can inject different, for lack of a better term, genres. But and like one of the things I see with this show is it's almost like I think there's a difference between like the original trilogy being based off of Westerns or Mandalorian, and where this is kind of like a mashup, right?
Yeah.
Like it's much less of a here's our story arc. There's criminals. Like if you did a cop show, right, but in Star Wars, and like you have some Imperial, Murder She Wrote person, like tracking down Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba because they're
Jedi Lansbury.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But this one is much more of an adolescent mashup to me, and I agree with Dean. And like Stu said it on one of his reviews, right? Like, I don't want to watch Star Wars and say, "Oh, wow, that's just like the Goonies," or "Oh, wow, that's like I don't know if I want to see Neil do the truffle shuffle."
Oh, you do,
Mr.
B. If you want to see a cops version of Star Wars, go on YouTube. But not now. Listen, not right now. Later, and look up Troops. Troops is a fan-made. A movie film.
It was good.
That's like cops for like stand troopers and Tatooine. It's freaking hilarious. It's a lot of fun.
It's really good. Yeah.
More fan films.
I have it in my fan film playlist on my channel. Yeah.
I have one of those too.
You have a fan film playlist on your channel?
I do, because some
it's got
really
like 100 videos in it now.
I hate to say some suck.
They do.
Some I don't really love. And I watch them for 10 minutes. I'm like, rainy day, I'll go back and watch that. Like, there's still 40 minutes left. I'm happy that people put work into it and their time and their passion and money and costuming, and that's the aspect about it I love. Sometimes they're just really, really bad.
I would definitely love to see
Wiz?
What's up. The most dangerous
Wizzy.
in Canada, right there, Darth Wizzy Wiz. I'm definitely in the camp of more serious Star Wars.
Well, Star Wars. So in a sense,
that's Andor. That's Andor.
In a sense,
is like an 11 on the serious level.
Totally. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Goes to 10, but
it's by far the most serious Star Wars thing they've made. Like, I haven't read every book. I've read a lot of books, and a lot of them are really good and had great stories. But I've never read anything or saw any Star Wars that was as serious as what Andor was. Like, so I think that
I like
because of that, this being a little more fun and adventure-y and 80s music vibe, I know it's not all that. It's a sweet and sour. It's a little different. right before we're getting Andor, they're giving us the kiddie stuff.
If this show if this wasn't supposed to be Star Wars in any way, and there was no hope of seeing something Star Wars, like, I don't know if I would watch it.
I would.
I would too. I watched almost all.
I really enjoyed the movie where the kids go off to camp and then they find out aliens are invading. That's on Netflix or something that came out like last year. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed that thing, and I've watched it 2 or 3 times.
Oh,
it's
okay.
like Goonies. It's like the Goonies go to camp, and then all of a sudden these aliens invade. I was like, that's freaking awesome.
I was gonna earlier. You were saying, both of y'all were saying about how in the future, how will kids look back on it, and then what about kids that are born into the Star Wars fandom? And it made me think of, like, there's so many things that I like that even some people older than me never got into, right? Like, everybody watched Gunsmoke with their granddad, but generally the generation that did that, like, that's not things that they're into, right? Like,
yeah.
And like, I'm not one of those people. Like, I still watch John Wayne and listen to Chuck Berry, and like, I'm stuck in 1957 or whatever. And I love it. But when y'all said that, it definitely made me think that in today's world, right, starting at least in like the the early baby boom generation, like, completely disliking everything your parents like is what is considered cool.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Will Star Wars be one of the things that breaks that mold, or will the young people go, oh, Uncle Rick, he likes that Star Wars, that goofy, the same way that we know people say, oh, yeah, I had to watch Gunsmoke and the Ponderosa and all that. Bonanza.
Like, is that still true I know when I grew up, it was like very much, we didn't like anything our parents liked. You know what I mean? Like what you're saying. Like, I
think we had to. Like, I had to watch, like I said, Bonanza and Gunsmoke.
Yeah, but we didn't.
And the Rockford Files and Quincy. I had to watch them.
But what I mean is,
it wasn't cool. So I liked them.
Like, if you went to school and you liked the stuff that your parents liked, you were not one of the cool kids. You know what I mean? Like,
except for Lack, I was the only one.
Yeah, we didn't wear like Quincy t-shirts.
Yeah, but I see my cousins' kids, that are like 12 years old, and when they find Led Zeppelin on Spotify, they're going nuts. And that's your parents. That's cool. Their parents' music. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have that when we were kids. If we listened to our parents' music when we were kids, like, you were listening, like you were a foreign person or something. You were like a crazy person at school.
Oh yeah.
But now those kids are cool if they listen to their parents' music. You know what I mean?
Like, I'm not an Elvis fan. Like, I don't have any Elvis songs on my Spotify or my iPad or any of that. But I can tell you, I could sing along to probably every song he's ever made because it was in my family growing up. And same with like the Powder Blues and Burton Cummings and the Guess Who. Like, I didn't go and buy their 8-tracks or their cassettes when I was a kid, but I can sing along to every single one of those songs because that's what, if I went in a car and my dad was driving, boom, we're listening to Thirsty Years or American Woman or whatever my dad liked. And for my mom, it was the Monkees and Elvis and, the Beatles and stuff like that. But it was that time, that's when I grew up. I see
some of it with TV because like my one cousin was telling me the other day that his 12-year-old got into the A-Team, and they were like, yeah, he's stuck. He's been watching the A-Team for the last like 3 days, like he discovered it on one of the apps, and it's like, and so I don't think kids look at it the same way that we did when we were kids, as these are the parents' stuff. These are old things. If they discover it and like it, they just like it. You know what I mean? Because you discover things in a different way than we did now. Like nowadays, people discover things through apps and streaming and Spotify and all these things. And it doesn't have, I don't think there's a decade attached to it when they discover it. They're not thinking like, oh, this is something from like the 60s or the 70s, so I shouldn't like it. Which is what it was when we were kids. we were like, oh no, that's the oldies station.
Yeah,
like they would even term it that way when we were kids. That's the oldies stuff. That's the classic. That's not where like when you turn on an app, they don't have like an oldies section or this is the elderly part where all the old people
they don't
you know what I mean?
We can't use the word elderly.
Oh, sorry.
It's retro,
Yeah.
All right, so episode starts off with all the kids' parents out in the woods with their they got a drone, guys. We're back to the drones again. And they want to send up this drone to get the message out, which really, the message was like, hey, kids, you're on your own. You're like, we miss you. We love you. We hope you're well, but, good luck. And the only way you're getting back is if you contact an emissary from the Republic. So that's where we get a little scene of the Republic.
The emissary, I felt like that was something that the parents understood, but I don't know if that is necessarily true. I don't think.
No, they might not have, right? But
I don't think an emissary would.
A couple of generations have grown up knowing that there was this republic, right? Which has now gone, been defeated. The Empire was defeated, and now the Republic is run by like bad guys. And before it was run by the good guys, right?
Yeah, these are the people on the planet, like the parents. They don't even know the Republic doesn't exist anymore.
Right. No, but after this, we can talk a little bit whether we think they know about the whole minting of the coins is something any of them even knew about, or if they're just all like accountants or doing other stuff that has nothing to do with that money. But one by one, each of these parents gets stunned.
I thought this was almost like the parents, like E.T. moment. It's like the way the trees were and the light was coming through. It just kind of reminded me of like they're setting up the E.T. phone home device and they've got you know what I mean? Like it's.
And the undersecretary is the last one to get stunned, and she's able to set that drone free, baby. And it's on its way to New Jersey right now.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great scene. I loved seeing the. And it's much more of like a romantic feeling, but these people on this planet are completely indoctrinated, right? Like everything that most of us might consider like a negative thing. But to see them say, hey, we don't really care about any of that. Our children and our family is number one, and I thought that was really cool. Whether or not that has anything to do with E.T. or anything like that, but I thought that was really neat that even though they're so ingrained in all of this stuff, they're able to decide and say, oh, we don't care about that. And I would like to think that there are people today in society that are like that, but I don't think you would get, if everybody's children on this planet, if this happened to them, if a few parents would not do that. A few parents would go, well, the supreme leader says we can't do this and it's against regulations and
which they were a little bit like that at first, right? They all most of them,
for about half a second.
Half of them took some convincing, yeah.
Yeah, and I
you can tell the writer of this has been watching our after show because we didn't exist yet, but they knew I was going to say it's a really fun adventure with this show. So that was a good line.
Yeah, I wonder because like when I grew up, my brother got in trouble with the law and ended up arrested, and I woke my dad up at 2 a.m. and was like, "Yeah, Mark got arrested." He went, well, he got himself into it. He could get himself out of it. He went back to bed. And I, as the older brother, went after him and went to the police station to get him and stuff. So I don't know if everybody would just, someone in the family, I think, would go after the kids.
If you, no matter how many police or security guards were stopping, you think your parents would make that fight for
well, not all. Some of them would roll over and go back to bed like my dad and say, he got himself into it. He can get himself out of it. Mm-hmm. It's a lesson learned.
Right. Well, and that might be the difference in this, going out into the galaxy from their planet, which they know is hidden in a way.
Yeah.
That's like a little too much, whereas if they just got caught by the security droids, they might, they'd be like, well, take your spankings and hopefully they don't send you to the mine, but
to the mines, to
the mines.
General Lack, could you read this dialogue in Brutus's pirate voice, please?
I don't know. This Atten of yours don't look like a treasure planet to me.
That's exactly what I heard. But yeah, so it's a very Brutus heavy episode. I think we all enjoyed that. He had lots of dialogue.
Yeah, cool character.
Lots of throat gargling, when he died.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see that coming. If he was going to die, I would have predicted it would have been by a lightsaber. And I was going to make a little Left Coast Theories video before this episode and predict that the lightsaber was hidden inside SM-33 somehow. And, I just thought something was going to happen with that, because we didn't see whatever happened to the lightsaber.
SM-33 pop-up saber.
We did see what happened to the lightsaber. He force picked it up at the end of the last episode. We did see what happened.
Okay. So they arrive. They managed to find the location with, I'm assuming, the help of Smee.
Mm-hmm.
And
Smee had the coordinates, right?
And John had to explain to him, or because he doesn't know, had to lie or try to convince them that no, it's there. It's camouflage, which we all know is exactly right. And I had to take the screen grab because he says "I" instead of "R."
Yeah, okay.
Such a great character. And I hope with a couple of soldered wires, he's all back to normal.
Oh, I definitely think, yeah, he'll be living happily ever after with the kids on the planet.
We have a couple of good pieces of dialogue between Jod and Brutus, where I bet my life I could get my ship in there, and Brutus like, all right, I'll take that bet, growl, and so they went back and forth a couple times. Later, Jod's like, oh no, the crew likes me more than they like the booty, and Brutus is like, no, they like the booty, the pirate booty or the loot, whatever he called it. And then Jod looks at him and is like, no, they like me. So he's pretty cocky. He knows that every pirate there is a fan of him.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's a little bit later, but I think we have established that Jod obviously has the Force, and
he does. It's clear now. Yeah.
And part of like when he was given that speech in the last episode, aren't you all hungry? And like it's all kind of a like, aren't you hungry? And so I took that. Not only is he, I guess, a great orator and he knows how to speak to these pirates, but he also has that Force ability to change people's minds, which we don't know about. Brutus being a Shadow Wolfman, maybe he's like Watto. Maybe those tricks don't work on him, and that's why he's the only one that doesn't go along with the program. Because you think if he could just wave his hand and
I don't think he has that ability. I don't think he ever learned how to do that.
I think he has some with that speech and with the speech in this episode and the last one. I thought some of it.
Because you would think when the guy was going to press the button, he would have went or something, or did like a Jedi mind trick on that guy, and he didn't.
He had lots of opportunities to do a Jedi mind trick, like when he's about to walk the plank right now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He could have opened the lock, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Well, I think I don't think he has the top ability to do it, but I think he has some ability, and maybe he has enough ability to be able to do it to certain people of the crew. Like there's that older lady who in the last episode interjected, a lot saying, "Oh, he's allowed to have time."
Yeah.
And then we see she's the one in this one who says, "Wait a minute," and she's the
one
who hits the button.
Yeah.
So maybe she's
got a crush on Jod, I think.
Yeah, she either likes him a lot, or maybe she has a weak enough mind to where her his ability works on her.
That he might have did a Jedi mind trick, right? Which is not as obvious for us to see, as viewers of the show. But yes, we could maybe that might be even what he did, and we won't hear about it until they talk about the.
Maybe it's an unconscious ability, kind of like Poe Dameron's ability to pilot a ship so well. Like we as the viewers know from lore that he was tapping into the Force, which is what makes him such a good fighter. But he, as a character, as a person in universe, has no clue that he's tapping into the Force.
Sure.
Right,
It's
exactly.
a conscious ability. Yeah.
Right.
So-
and whereas Jod even would have, depending on his backstory or whatever, right? Like he might be aware that this is possible, and so he does consciously try to do it, but maybe he's not. 100%.
Yeah.
He hasn't been shown.
Yeah, I get what you're
Because
saying.
when he takes those shackles off, everything before you think, oh, the key, that could have been baloney or maybe something else. But when those shackles come off in this episode, you're like, oh yeah, this guy, Force, no question.
He's totally tapping into the Force to move objects, and I think,
Yeah.
and that might be the limit of his abilities, is what I think. You know what I mean? Like, just like I was saying, like, if you learn you can do that when you're a child, why would you ever stop? Like if your drink is over there on the table, you're going to go foop and bring the drink to your hand.
Exactly.
And you might never learn anything else other than the ability to move something to your hand from a distance. But, that's...
And you could get better at that also.
Yeah, and you wouldn't just stop doing that one day.
Practice makes perfect.
I think it's interesting that, like in the first episode, people said, well, why didn't he get the keys already? But it's like kind of like that Kanan Jarrus thing, right? He's like, okay, are you ready for the secret? Like we're going to do everything low key.
I still kind of wonder that exact question.
Not
why,
that there's
why he chose to stay as a prisoner.
What's that? Say that again. Sorry.
I still wonder why he chose to stay as a prisoner. If he could have just blinked his eyes and take the hand to he had shackles on his feet, and he was in a jail. Like,
I think it was just the fact that he was waiting for someone else.
He has enough ability to get out of shackles.
He said it's because he needed a ship. He couldn't go anywhere.
That's certainly what I thought when the first time they said, oh, why wouldn't he get out? I thought, well, what's he going to do? Right? Is he going to like Ben Kenobi, put a cloak on and all of a sudden they don't know who he is, or he still had to get out of there and get a ship, and that's a long way to go under the radar.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think.
That made sense to me. But he's definitely, and I don't even know how much the pirates pay attention to it or whatever, but it seems like he's super low key.
I think he does it on the down low. Yeah, he's not. A lot of those pirates don't know that he has the ability. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even.
They don't know now he carries a lightsaber and such. But one of the most important questions of this whole Star Wars series, and perhaps the whole Star Wars universe, is how does this squidhead guy put his helmet on?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what
the helmet has little hard parts to cover his little ears, but how does he get it over his ears?
Exactly.
Like, do they bend that much? And
they
is this not the
that
funniest
much,
looking Star Wars creature so far?
I like the helmet though. Now we need one of those helmets from Black Series.
Oh yeah,
we haven't seen
our little shelves.
We haven't seen a squid head in a pilot helmet yet.
I hope we get a Jod figure that comes with his.
He needs that
mask. Yeah,
that Captain Silvo helmet. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like a takeoff on Leia Boosh.
Oh yeah, Brutus sends out a pirate fighter instead of Jaw Danana to go see if they can fly through this green Grimace milkshake thing. And it's the same kind of pirate snub fighters we've seen from the Mandoverse.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of cool. And they had a whole docking bay full of them on their huge, like, pirate ship, docking bay, war mothership thing. Battleship, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that was pretty cool. So definitely. I thought this is another good shot in this episode. We have the, the hologram kind of dash cam. Got Tessics and Walrusmen and Bosks and bald humans and bearded humans, and we got all there's another tusk face. But yeah, so there you have him. And then now this probably says he gone now. He blowed up real good.
Yeah.
But so that
we've lost the signal.
So they obviously have it has a purpose, as we know. This security system, this cloaking of the planet, and all these little satellite things that shoot lightning out to nothing, and unless you're a bad guy ship and it hits your bad guy ship. But if you're a Republic shiny silver ship, it doesn't get you. So here, prepare to dump the trash. So this is the equivalent of walking the plank, of course, right? This is space pirate walking the plank wars. Which
where did Dino go, by the way? Did he fall asleep watching
He fell asleep watching the after show.
He said, these guys like it too much. I'm out of here.
Here's our first humanoid guy with a pirate patch on. So he passes the costume test, I think.
He passed the costume test.
And they're seeing this shiny chrome ship, and they're like, "Ooh, it's an oldie. They don't make them like that no more." So again,
it must have a
model
transponder, right? It's got a transponder or something that tells it it's clear to pass, which is why the things turn green, right?
Yeah, it has some sort of code built in.
Now, is this Captain Rex right here? Look.
Oh yeah,
it's Captain Rex, or is it Nick Sant?
Oh, you never know.
He's got his beard into like two little things.
Yeah, I gotta email him out the show and tell him don't do that. That's pretty lame.
No,
bearded guys don't like that. But another cool shot of.
I mean, if you're like a real
pirate Captain Brutus, arr. But yeah, some great shots in this show. And once we get a picture, we'll see what this symbol is on. Might not be right there, but there's a symbol on their ship that makes it quite obvious. So that's what the barrier looks like from the outside, as you know, no one from their planet's ever seen it. But a good shot of their big flying battleship thingy, which is pretty cool. I like ships like this. And I like this ship a lot. I really want this ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool ship. I like it.
When the Mandalorian went on that mission to to free that guy from the Republic prison, that was the same ship that those bad guys were in, right?
It's similar. I'll have to go back and see how similar
it had
it is.
That big docking bay open to the
they did.
To the world.
Oh, what the crap just happened over there?
I hope that wasn't the biggest screen TV you own.
No. I think that was an original Muppet Babies pop-up toy.
That's okay then.
Which you would probably.
So I see it as a mix between Razor Crest, the Sith Infiltrator, and Lax's best character in Andor, Luthen, and his ship, kind of all mishmashed together. Like they got those 3 Lego sets, and they just like, what can we make from these parts? And they came up with this. But here is the Republic logo right there, as we remember it from the Clone Wars and whatnot. I think that's what it is.
Oh yeah, very cool. I missed that on the episode, but yeah, good eyeball.
You only need one. Treasure or no, I'm gonna kill you first chance I get. Arr. So another smart ass comment between the two, and John and Nana is like, no, they love me more than they love the pirate booty. And another great shot, man. I love shots of Star Wars ramps. It's just one of my favorite things in Star Wars.
Now, when Jod says, he says something like, "Don't worry, my friends," or he says something like that. Is he talking to the kids and the ship, or is he talking to the pirates?
I think he's talking to the pirates.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, I know these kids, you know.
It's all good. I knew these kids.
I used to
I think
babysit
it's clear he's against the kids. I mean, that's not. He doesn't care. I mean, like, I don't know, or he's trying not to care about them. I don't know, because at the end,
I think by the end of this episode, we that's where we're left in our heads. Okay, now is this guy a freaking villain?
Yeah,
like a bad dude, or is he gonna come around and have some kind of redemption? And I think his character's decision or his fate. I think we will see him in the Mandoverse again, whether it's the movie or Ahsoka or Mando seasons in the future, just because he's Jude freaking Law. We're going to see him again in more Star Wars. He's not going to die tomorrow or next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the kids are playing that claw game at the fair, at the carnival, and they scooped up Pirate Captain Brutus, just like that.
I thought that was cool. I was waiting for that. I was like, didn't they have a thing there that came down? Like,
I kind of thought that was going to happen too. As soon as they showed the ramp from Brutus's version, from his point of view, I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna just grab him. They're just gonna grab him. And they did. They didn't crush him. You know, they grabbed him softly. Well, yeah, either Jod has magic muscles in his wrists where he can just snap space steel handcuffs or he used the Force and he unshackled his shackles.
Well, and there's still the question of those bracelets he wears that John pointed out too. You know.
Well, I actually went back and looked. No, I went back and looked, and I think that's just. You see how they hit the shirt he's wearing? Look at the edge where it's the rough edges. I think it was the way the light was hitting the edge of that kind of shirt, whatever material that is.
Oh, really?
And it made it look metallic. Because I went back and looked at that a couple more times because no one else was talking about it. And I was like, did I see something that was just my imagination or what? Why was no one talking about it? And I think it is just the light coming off the shirt and the way the fabric was making me see a metallic thing that really it was just cloth. I don't think he has anything like that. I think he uses the Force.
I'd also like to confirm whether he ever has not worn gloves in this series, and I wonder what that means.
Yeah, have we seen his hands? I don't know. You're right.
Because if not, why is he wearing gloves now? Like,
no, I think
my hands are cold. Can I put my gloves on while I'm a prisoner? Like, so I think he has had his gloves on 100% of this episode.
I think so.
Does that mean he has robot hands?
Yeah, maybe he's got robotic arms. Yeah, we haven't seen. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I just thought of that now because I'm like, he's always got gloves
on.
Thought
of that now.
And this is the last time we see good old pirate Captain Brutus.
Oh, yeah, we can't have Shavastine Wolfman in Star Wars, but for just a little while. Thanks, Lucas.
I was kind of hoping Space Pirate Urkel would pass away before Brutus, just in order of badassness. You know, there's a pyramid of badassness, and if Brutus is near the top or at the top, Space Urkel's down at the bottom. I think those two pirate chicks, are higher up on the badass pyramid than Space Urkel. Cheers. And hopefully all of our California friends are doing well and not losing their homes in a massive forest fire, which is insane. But yeah, so rest in peace to Pirate Captain Brutus. We'll have a moment of silence. All right, that's good.
He's gone.
And then Captain Silvo's helmet again and his jacket. So
yeah,
he must have a locker like somewhere.
Yeah, that girl was saving him for him because she loves.
Yeah.
She loves him.
She said, "I got your helmet."
And I do like this helmet. Are they going to make a Black Series helmet of this?
Yeah, there you go. There's another one. So there's two Black Series helmets from this episode.
I just hope we get a Black Series figure with that helmet.
Oh,
what was that?
Can't see them. It's weird. Like, we didn't get a Stranger character yet. And if we didn't, it'd be weird that like the one kind of villain in the show didn't get a action figure. And then the same with this show. Like, I understand the first figure we got because they were hiding that from us, right? We don't learn, even though it's the opening scene of episode 1 of him in this helmet, and you can hear his voice and you know it's him. Even though it's not spoiling anything, yeah, they could have included that in the package and just hid it behind his jacket or something. Like, I don't know.
That would have been totally
But no, we got to make another one with a new jacket and a lightsaber and a helmet. So
other than
deluxe.
Other than the Mandalorian and possibly the 2 figures of Obi-Wan from his series, are we getting many figures that are from the new Star Wars that are we're not getting very many that have different outfits, right?
Not really. Like Ahsoka had a wave, Andor is still on its first wave.
I guess we had 2 Ahsokas, 2 different outfits for her figure, right?
Yeah, but I mean her show
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, I mean, like in total, from Clone Wars all the way through to now, we've had 4 or 5 different Ahsokas.
Oh yeah, I just mean from the new live action.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I just got a message. Brett has made it to his destination, so congratulations, sir.
Cool.
Been driving through the winter storm all day and yesterday, so
Good
glad
to
you
hear.
made it.
Travels, Brewster.
No, see, like they make, because they made all the kids, right? We got all the kids as Black Series, and then we have the Jod Nod, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all we got, right?
And Brutus.
Oh, Brutus is a figure. Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. See, for for toys for these shows, like I've got a couple for the Mandalorian, and then I just stopped because I just don't like. I think for me, what it is like I really am a vehicle collector, and other than like say G.I. Joe and Star Wars, like vintage stuff. I mean, like going back in the past, I'm like a vehicle collector. I like to get all the vehicles of all these different lines, and then I get 1 or 2 figures that go with the vehicle. So for me, on stuff like these shows, when they made the Razor Crest, I got the vehicle, and I've got some characters to stand around the vehicle.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So if this show made the Onyx Cinder or whatever it's called,
yeah,
you know, that's that silver version, like the what we have now in this episode. Like if they made that ship into like a vintage collection, then I would buy all the vintage collection figures and put them next to the ship. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I have no interest at all. I have zero interest at all in getting the Black Series figures because I'm just going to put a group of them on my shelf and not next to anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
kind of how Black Series works.
So I only get original trilogy and a few Jedi from the prequels, and that's it. That's all I'm getting for Black Series. I'm not getting any of these. It doesn't matter how good the show is, you know?
Yeah. So they intercept the transmission because now it's out of the atmosphere and available for, I'm assuming, for other people can also receive this message and not just the pirates here. So I'm assuming
known how to send
I'm gonna assume that the New Republic also got this message. I'm just throwing that out there. So maybe next week we see Captain Carson Teva and some X-Wings back in action again, coming to maybe change the course of whatever's going on currently with Captain Silvo. So because the parents feel hopeless here, they're like, yeah, you got to find a Republic emissary. How do 4 9-year-old kids, what do they Google it? Where do I find a Republic emissary? Because there is no such thing.
Well, no, the thing is that they don't know that the Republic doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
no, I know,
but as it was in the past, every Republic world probably had a Republic emissary, almost like how we have like a
200 years ago.
Yeah, but they don't know that it's not around anymore.
No, but I mean, so the kids have zero hope of getting home because of that, but they do get home because just on their own. You know what I mean? Like they figured it out on their own. They're smart kids. But where does Captain Silvo, like he's got this little carafe now here too, like just throws on a little scarf. I guess that makes the helmet look cooler.
Yeah, maybe it's attached to the helmet. It's like part of it.
Maybe. Which he gets smashed later, but yeah, so they're like, okay, here's how you get help. You gotta find a Republic emissary. But not only that, they actually have the Republic emissary's ship. So that's another thing in their luck and fortune that just happens to be they're able to get through this green milkshake atmosphere because they just happen to be on this ex-Republic emissary ship, right? Just coincidence, but it's lucky that happened that way.
Right. Which begs the question, if the pirate captain went there, crashed, but he already had the ship inside his ship. So he did all kinds of research to know how to get there, because that's how he got there, right?
Yeah.
Which,
Very much so.
without Shmi, I don't know how much they figured out, but yeah, I think Shmi is the one who really did all the real work, huh?
And then the pirate code comes up again, the space pirate code. Oh, arr, you can only claim one ship per the code. So the kids are like, claimsies. They're like, we claim the ship.
Yet Jod had a whole speech to that Maori warrior chick with the stormtrooper armor that she could have her own fleet.
Yeah.
So I guess you're not I guess you have to be an admiral for that or something, right? Or like,
so the kids call claimsies, and they win the ship, and they tell Smee, get out, this pirate out of here, because somehow Jod ended up on the ship, and the kids didn't know it, but he did. And Shmi knocks him out.
Yeah, and drags him off the ship, and then he, with his cool Obi-Wan sneak attack, he gets back on the ship.
And here's the pirate snub fighter following the kids in Onyx Cinder through the atmosphere, and they get space sat by the satellites. Turn that ship around, you kids. Arr, Mr. Tessic Head. And he lets us know stealing one of the Mint's own ships so he could fly it safely back through. So it is the key to leaving or entering this planet's atmosphere, is having one of these ships. So as it does pass by one of the last little satellites, it turns from red to green. So I think in a way that this notified the planet down below that, we finally have a Republic emissary arrived for the first time in 200 years.
Yeah.
So everyone's quite surprised at that. Another great shot.
I like how the football...
They had to go to real space to take this shot.
I like how the football pitch, as they call it, like turns into a landing platform, and everybody who was on the grass is like rolling off the...
Now, Lack, you can comment on this, on where the light is coming from, right?
I have no idea.
Must be that stagecraft set. Great shot though, but yeah, like they're looking at the planet and they're getting a reflection, like we have our monitor on the highest setting, and all of our LED lights are right in our faces. But
yeah, definitely definitely the the poster shot of the whole series though, right?
What do you think the name of this little four-eyed mouse guy is?
I watched something where somebody actually said what it was, and I can't remember now.
I'll have to look
somebody says it in the last episode. They call it, gosh darn it. Somebody gets called, they get called something, right? Like Nerf herder or whatever.
Like a Nerf herder or a Womp Rat or one of those words?
Yeah, and somebody says it. I didn't catch it during the episode, but I watched. It might have been Long and Long channel, but they caught it and then researched what that was, and it's that,
because it's always looking out.
A bilge.
It's intelligent.
A bilge something.
A bilge rat.
I think they might have said bilge rat, but
it's obviously quite intelligent, and I am intrigued by it. I'm curious
because they called someone a bilge rat in the first. I think in the original trilogy, even.
Okay.
Did they?
So
I think that's what that's supposed to be.
Maybe we finally saw a bilge rat. Okay.
All right. Which is not,
they were locked into an autopilot when they went at Akron, but they pulled out of it and they went and landed somewhere else, which wasn't right downtown. But this one, for whatever reason, they left it in the autopilot, and the autopilot, took them to that park. And this is actually the name of this episode. We're going to be in so much trouble.
Yeah.
So I won here. Okay. Oh. Sorry.
Oh, you know what you didn't catch? In the earlier, you didn't catch the parents say, I have a bad feel, and then it gets cut off. You remember that?
So somehow John was reading my mind because I got to stay on brand here.
Rick has got a crazy theory.
So next week's episode 8, the finale of Skeleton Crew, I'm going to say it's actually going to be titled, I've got a bad feeling about this. There you go. There's my
I'm not going to use
left
the line
goes
twice,
theory.
though, in one thing. I mean,
Hey, that's important stuff. Like, I win lots of money every time one of these left goes theories is correct.
Yeah, I do too. I also win a lot of money when I bet against you too. So
The pirate code. Arr. Very much so. He's been I think G-Force mentioned it up here, or Prophet did. He's been a great help to these kids. Like, and he's a key character and part of this crew. And I hope by the end of it all, he's like he's with them.
oh yeah, I think he
He's
will.
hanging out with the kids on Atten or on their new space planet, wherever they go to. Hey, what's going on, Brett? Snowballs.
Hey,
is
Brett.
name. I am your pirate. Snowball is the name of that little trash rat.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Bilge rat on Wikipedia says G-Force.
Yeah, Bilge rat. Okay, yep. Good job. Good job.
So I like that every episode of the series so far has been a line of dialogue from one of the kids. So this was this is her episode. And man, so we got Win, we got KB, we got Neil, and then this is Fern. Figured it out. And then finally, 7 episodes in, we get some lightsaber action. And it's quick but deadly. So
well, we got a taste in 6, but yeah.
Just a taste. So we got before,
just the tip,
and after. And then another great shot. Like this shot to me, it looks like it's made to fit our television screen, like back in the day, because we weren't widescreen format. We were 60/40 or whatever this would be. Lots of scenes like that in this episode.
John definitely looked like a
real almost
did that, didn't he?
He almost makes a pancake out of Snowball.
Yeah.
But he didn't. So here's a question for the chat and for my hostesses. Do you think space rats can chew wires back together?
Yeah, that's it. He's gonna rebuild them. Yep.
He's gonna fix them.
Yeah.
So KB is the obvious choice because she's the mechanical kid of the crew, right? The smarty pants with the tool belt and all the tools and soldering irons and fuses in her head. So she's the first choice who could probably put them together like John puts together Legos. Or do you think Snowball can like chew his wires back together? You know what I mean? That would make me happy and joyful and triumphant if Snowball saves the day somehow. Like, I don't think he can.
Well, he might get in there and rig it up where at least he can drive it. Like,
yeah, you can push the joystick forward.
Yeah, like those Babu Frick guys did for the IG unit. Oh, he's
oh man, make a SME remote control from a mouse.
Force sensitive, yeah. I think it'd be nice to learn that he has some training, but it be from, like he's probably not the right age to be a youngling necessarily, but we've learned out later that lots of Jedis survived Order 66, and there must be some out there that are, at some point are trying to continue just like Luke did, right? Like Luke's obviously not the only one that started his academy or whatever. Like I'm sure that there is someone else on the deep edge of space that's probably doing the same thing.
So we all agree the droid will be back, right?
Oh, definitely. He will be with them, waving to whoever leaves when Jod turns good again or whatever. But Jod might get murked by the supervisor, who I still think is the Captain Renard.
Well, when we get to that, we can kind of confirm he's not, but we'll get to that in a minute.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, we the actors in the credits, and his voice is British, and there's a big difference.
I don't know.
Until this exact point in this series, at this point now, I feel Jod will not turn good at all.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
When the series ends next week, he will still be the bad dude and not in favor with these kids. And because right here he loses it in these kids.
Yeah.
And Jabber is now canon in Star Wars. So that makes Star Wars Meg happy. Jibber jabber.
Cause right here he could have
Pissed.
they could have done it where, like, if he was gonna be sort of good, or at least give us the question in our minds, what they could have done right here is they could have been, look, kids, he could have said something like, look, kids, I did it. I finally got you home. All that was just, I was just playing around back there and tried to get them on his side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's
like,
it could have happened that way. It just didn't, though, right?
Yeah, it just didn't. But they could have done that, but they didn't. So they made him clearly be, I'm just in this for the gold. I'm in it for myself. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, will you just shut up and sit in the corner and let me steal all your gold? You know,
he made the hero of the story Wim cry.
Yeah.
He's a bad man. Now, do you think that's a real tear from this great actor, or do you think they CGI'd that in?
Oh, I don't know.
And then look at her; she's like she's gonna bite his Achilles tendon here.
Yep.
And then literally, like, because I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Like, this is really tense. And he's like, well, what are you gonna do about it? Like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, he's bullying them now.
Yeah.
Where in the past he's just kind of yelled at them like an uncle or a babysitter, but now he's pissed, and he's pissed, calling them weak, sheltered, spoiled children, to the point where he actually pulls out the freaking lightsaber on them. Like, that's bad, man. Like, it's like if you point a gun, I don't know guns, but the first run of gun school is if you're going to point a gun, you use it, right? Or be prepared to use it. I think that's the rule. Like, don't pull a gun out if you're not prepared to use it.
Well, if Kylo Ren can kill his dad and come back, then.
But this is bad. This is bad.
Redeem himself, right? Then.
And this is where I thought there's no turning back now for Captain Silvo. At this point now, I think he's 100% a bad dude.
Yeah. Well, think of how far Han went. You know, I mean, he left. He said, "I'm only in it for the money," and Luke got kind of sad about it, and it was all hope was lost. And then when it came down to the nitty gritty, he came back.
Yeah, so that's true.
There might be a possibility.
They could still pull a Han Solo. You're right. Yeah.
The redemption arc in modern storytelling is
because we don't. Because here's the thing, like, Jod, there's still, I guess, a chance because we don't know who the supervisor is. We all have theories, but no one really knows right now. They haven't revealed them in the show. So next episode, if they do reveal the supervisor finally, and Jod figures out that, like, oh my gosh, it's like a rival or this bad guy that's taken over, and he's been hiding himself to the planet. You know what I mean? Because no one.
Or it's just an iPod on a pedestal. You know.
Clearly, nobody on the planet sees the supervisor.
I agreed. Well, I agreed to that. Even the undersecretary.
Yeah. So maybe that's the thing that turns Jod around. You know, when he sees the supervisor and realizes it's this evil dude, you know, an evil pirate or whoever, and is like, oh crap, like, I'm not going to get out of this alive. Maybe that is what turns him good, and he helps the kids and helps the planet. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't know.
Here's KB's moms, and they're mentioning the droids don't listen. So I think that'll come up again next week about droids and them not listening to people. But they did listen to the undersecretary when she says, you know, delay that last order and, like, erase her memory, right? From last episode when, you know, he caught the guys, you know, sticking his USB card in the work computer, which you're not allowed to do, folks. Come on. We all know that.
That's obviously her mom and her auntie.
It could be that too. It could be her older sister.
Could be her older sister, exactly.
So here's the point where we actually hear, so we got like ding ding buzzers go off, and there's a ship coming in. So the planet's been alerted that there's an incoming Republic emissary ship, which we'll learn more about in a minute. But over the announcing system, the PA, citizens of Atten, this is the supervisor speaking. which is very, very much a British man's voice. And he's famous, and apparently his name is Stephen Fry.
Stephen Fry.
Oh yeah.
But look, there was a syllable and a growl-ish at the end of one of those words that I picked up, and it sounded exactly, like if a pirate comes and somehow takes over and becomes the Wizard of Oz, right?
He's still going to go, arr.
No, he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that.
It's the pirate code.
He's
the pirate code. You have to say "arr."
No, I think he's going to change, and I still think, because I thought I detected that there was something in there in his dialogue.
I think the supervisor is the pirate captain of the original
Absolutely
as well. Yeah, me too.
Really? So
totally. Which will, like you said, when I
could pull up the video of us listening to the pirates like recording where it's talk like a pirate day in that episode. He's like, "Arr, me treasure is hidden down below." He's totally talking like a pirate. And I caught a couple of screen grabs and I thought he looked hairy just because of the fuzziness of it. But I've seen other people's screen grabs of that captain, and you can tell he's a Weequay alien. Like they got the features of his face, and you can see it's a Weequay type of creature. So, but this voice, this guy sounded just like Sheev Palpatine in a very proper and perfect British accent.
Yeah,
which is not what we heard in that pirate recording. That was not a British actor.
Yeah. But also by that note, when Sheev all of a sudden is fighting Mace Windu, he does not speak like that.
No, but he's still British. So, he's still British. But it's
definitely
even as the emperor. Even as the emperor, he's still British. Like, even though he's completely different looking and sounding and walking and but he's still British. Like it's still
any pirate
still the same actor.
Considered that. That's where it comes from.
And this is literally where I live in Coquitlam here in British Columbia. Like we don't have this Space Needle here.
Yeah.
Or just pretend the spaceship's not here, pretend it's just a drone. But yeah, I got water and mountains and trees and cul-de-sacs and
are those the houses on the outside where the people live? Those are all their houses, right?
Yeah, it looks like the community of homes, and this is businesses
the downtown city area,
and condos but just gorgeous, man. This is some of the stuff I really love about Star Wars is when we get these 4 seconds of really awesome computer graphics. Like
these,
like it costs more for them to make this than 3 episodes of Ahsoka. That's how it does. I get it. But it makes a difference. So yeah, they're going into this like Canadian Football League Stadium Park here.
See, I want to. Prophet says, why would the pirate captain take over a planet when he can't use the plunder to enjoy opulence as pirates do? See, the reason I think it is that he stayed is I think he stayed and he took over the planet because it is opulence. Like now that wherever he's living, whether it's in the tower or in underground in this giant cavernous underground area that we didn't know was there, he's living at the top of luxury. And every need that you could ever want in life is taken care of. Why would you leave that?
Yeah, why would you want?
You would. You know how much money you would have to fill your ship with if you left to have that much, like,
and then much like the children, right? Like how is he going to spend it without becoming a target?
Yeah,
just like because the children pulled out that one mint condition Old Republic credit. So how is he supposed to go off in the galaxy with a shipload of it and still remain anonymous, right? Because it's just like the Dread Pirate. It's like the Dread Pirate Roberts from Princess Bride, right? Like it doesn't. You have to give up that. You have to give up that character as being the Dread Pirate to be able to go live your life.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely the reason for.
See, this is what I loved this part because it's like. This hasn't been used in such a long time that the people who are walking
Yeah, like
on it
200
don't even
years, right?
realize. The people that are walking on it don't even realize it's a landing bay.
This
And the ground is actually splitting. It's not like the grass was put there in even marks so that it could open up.
Yeah, it was kind of tearing.
It's ripping through the ground that formed on it, and the people are rolling off it. They're like, like what? So this hasn't been used in like 100 years or something, you know?
It's definitely a safety. You think they'd have like a warning buzzer or something?
Yeah, like get off the ground.
Total safety hazard.
The old pirate captain is that 4-eyed trash rat.
Yeah, right.
Now, if that's the answer, man, I should win $100,000 from somebody just for
if it's the
most random guess of all time. But so I do agree with this Wizard of Oz kind of theory. I've heard it lots, but I still believe, okay, it's not going to be Wim's mom unless Wim's mom is a British man, and I don't think she is. But we're still going to hear about Wim's mom. I think somehow it's going to be part of the story in the end. I think that there's not going to be a supervisor. It's literally just the doors, locked, and the droids haven't ever go in there. And there's one scene left from all the trailers we've had for Sultan's Crew. There's one scene left that we haven't seen yet, and it's the kids and the parents. No sign. There's no Jod in this scene. The kids and the parents in that tower, looking up at something like in awe, jaw-dropping amazement. But I'm gonna bet that they go into that supervisor's suite, and there's like a skeleton of a dude there. Like, do you know what I mean? And the droids are just operating on procedure, the same procedure for 200 years. As nobody's come or gone, no one's told them to do anything different because there's no communications back and forth. So they're just on a repeat. They're on repeat mode for generations and generations, as it seems like it's 200 years.
But the skeleton would still be the skeleton of the Captain Renard or whatever his name is, right?
It could be, and then they just hired an English human to record that recording.
Maybe
the recording very well could have been made by the robots. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be an actual person. You know?
Yeah,
because now I'm 50-50. Like, it is a recording, and there's no people, and it's droids.
Yeah.
But now, because we heard that voice loud and clear, and they announced the actor's name, I have a feeling we will see that actor, and there will be a human being. Well, not a human being. There will be a character behind that voice. And if I had all my wishes come true, it would be.
If you've got a voice in a show, you hire a voice actor and give him credit.
But Hammerhead characters don't talk in proper British speak, so all is lost. The supervisor is not a Hammerhead.
To answer Prophet right there, the captain would be able to, right? I mean, like, what does all anybody wants to do, right, is sit in their cave and eat and not work for things, right? And so when he goes to this planet and he takes it over, like, other than getting some concubines shipped in, which is where Wynn's mom went.
Yes,
maybe
there you go. Yeah,
I mean,
the space peanut bar somewhere.
He has everything. And like Jod said, we're hungry, which could literally mean, right? They don't have enough. They're hungry. Like,
there's not enough booty.
Me and a friend of mine were talking about that today, right? Like, as long as your belly is full, you should feel pretty placated, especially if you want to, like, in the real world we live in, right? Like, a lot of people think they have it rough and all this kind of stuff, but yet they have electricity and the light turns on and they don't have to halt. They have clean water at their disposal. And, you can walk up to the McDonald's and buy a cheeseburger. Like, we got it pretty good, And that's all the pirates want, right?
Just pirate booty.
That's all they want, baby. That's all.
And here we have a little more confirmation that this ship is from this planet and it's just meant to land here. Like, these
fits in there,
just like perfect. Like, it's everything's meant to be. And we got another. This was one of the final shots. This is in the trailers, and we all missed it for 6 months. he literally has a lightsaber like on his belt there.
Yeah.
And Pirate Captain, one of Brutus's blasters, and we never saw it. Like, it was such a quick scene, and maybe his hand was just waving in front of it. But this is in many of the trailers, this exact scene, and we just didn't catch this lightsaber.
It's not impossible for them to, like, for the trailer. It wouldn't be impossible for somebody to remove that saber, right?
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
No, but I think I've gone back and his hand just kind of just waves by it, and you might think it's a blaster because it's like
but you
trailers.
did
It's like
see it in the actual
it's
trailer.
like scene. Like the trailers are 48 scenes in 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you caught a good snapshot here. Like, what does that droid have in his hands way in the back?
Yeah,
Is
like
that
a big
giant laser
here?
rifle, like blaster rifle?
It's a leaf blower.
It's a leaf blower. Okay, so he's cleaning the stuff that the debris off the landing bay. Okay,
that's the groundskeeper droid.
Space and supervisor Newsom. He ordered this droid to go sweep the forest floors.
Yep, gotcha.
But so he takes off his helmet. He takes off his scarf. Like, the scarf is a cool fashion statement. Why not keep it on? So they're like, "Oh, you must be the Republic emissary." Oh, yes, of course, that's me. So more shenanigans. Proceed directly to the Mint to begin offload procedures. So this is a question I have. What does it, like, when I hear offload, like, to me, offload means they're going to offload stuff from the ship. Because in English, you don't offload stuff onto the ship. Do you know what I mean? You load stuff on the ship. You don't unload it.
But they're offloading from the planet, I think is how they're looking at it.
That's not English. That's not proper English, though. Again, they're droids, so it could be just their interpretation of the basic language.
Because that's what I think would have happened. Like, if say like Palpatine set this all up, what these ships would do is the emissary would land and the droids would fill the ship with Republic credits, and then he would fly back to Palpatine and be like, "Here's all your credits," and whatever.
Is that treasure, Brett? Is that Lax pirate booty? Arr.
Yeah,
that's Brett's number one seeking treasure. That's for sure.
Comb the desert, sweep your forests. So there is the Mint. We hear kind of ka-ching, like we hear, like, money being stamped. It kind of sounds like, right?
Money.
I couldn't believe I had a hard time understanding, like, so they go down a long way until they get,
and then they go left a little.
And then when they get to this point, there's you can see all the tunnels down. Look down, there's like at least 4 tunnels.
Yeah, there's more tunnels going off, right?
Yeah, down there. So there's at least 4 that we can see, and there's more. And then you've got this gangplank, like, walkway with pipes under it that seems to go off in the distance forever. Like how much of this planet have they hollowed out? And is there more going on? Like, to make a mint, do you need that power core? Like, what is that?
Well, I think that this is actually doing mining. Like, I think these walls are all covered in that gold, space gold, or whatever is used. I'm guessing, but
I thought that was like the smelter.
Because this is a big tunnel, like, this machine is probably doing lots of things. Like, it's probably mining this gold. But you see how big it is. Like, this is a spaceship right here.
So you think this is a machine that can move? It's moving down.
I think so. Yeah, it does look
like
like that.
Okay.
Like, these could be legs.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is a spaceship. My question is, like, who is in this spaceship?
That's actually a ship.
It flies. It flies in from up here. It kind of.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Like,
I didn't notice.
So that shows how massive.
Yeah, I was looking at the big reactor core thing up above, and I'm like, you don't need a reactor that big to melt gold or whatever they're making this, no matter what metal it is, you don't need something that big. So I was like, there's got to be something else going on down here, not just melting ore to make money, because you wouldn't need that's like a freaking Death Star reactor. That's like something that would shoot from Star Killer Base and blow up an entire planet reactor. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a reactor that melts metal. That's a reactor that blows up planets. That becomes a
like
weapon.
So it seems the same size, if not bigger, as Brutus's big like Star Destroyer kind of ship. If other ships can fly into it, like it's.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, and like you said, this is incredibly huge. It's not the size of a soccer ball. That thing's like the size of a moon. It's freaking huge.
That's
like,
no moon.
That's no moon, exactly. Okay. So Jod asked to speak to supervisor and get some soda pops, some refreshments, his finest refreshments. And the droid's like, you have to speak to the supervisor. He brings that up again. And so Jod asks him, how many of these, storage safes do you have here? And the incorrect answer is 1,139. So my question is, how did they get this wrong? Why isn't it 1138?
Because he's standing in one.
No,
so
but
there's 1,138 other ones.
1138 is the thank you to the Master George Lucas.
Yeah.
Is it a typo? Did they make a mistake?
No, I think they were trying to be. I think they were trying to be really cool.
And Pablo didn't catch it in editing, but it should definitely be 38 and 39. That's my opinion. They're wrong here.
I think one of the writers doesn't know Star Wars again, and he just
someone should have caught that, man.
Yeah.
I thought, and maybe I'm giving him more credit, but if there's that many total and he's standing in one, then there's
this to me is
there's 1138 left. But maybe I'm giving him more credit.
Well, no, it would have been the one to the left of this.
Yeah, because
go to that other one. It's probably more full.
There's already been a number of cases where like even Dave Filoni, who supposedly is George Lucas's like acolyte or whatever you call it, or apprentice, doesn't get it right. Like they got in. It goes all the way back to the sequel trilogy. Poe Dameron gets in a ship, and they say he's Black Leader. He's leader of the squadron, but yet his X-wing has 3 stripes on the wings. The number of stripes on the wing in all of Star Wars designated your number.
Uh-huh.
Like Red 3 had 3 stripes. Red 1 had
the
1
leader
stripe.
always one.
Red 2 had 2 stripes. You know what I mean?
Is the leader always one?
The leader a lot of times would have none, because
there's no like Red 1 standing by. That's
Red
leader,
1
right?
standing by had 1 stripe. Red 2 had 2 stripes. Red 3 had 3 stripes. Red 5 had 5 stripes. There was always the number of stripes on the wings, and Poe Dameron's has 3 stripes, but yet he's Black Leader. And when I questioned it, Pablo Hidalgo and Filoni and those guys, there was a big discussion on Twitter when I said, hey, why does his ship have 3 stripes? And they went, that's not a thing. It wasn't a thing. Yeah. That was just something the fans made up. And they're like, no, it was not. It's like in an article someone brought it up and showed photos of Bantha tracks and was like, it's in an article by George Lucas himself. But
it all goes back to 1977 and 78 when Kenner made Luke's X-Wing fighter, and it actually wasn't Luke's X-Wing. It was Red 3 and not Red 5.
Yeah.
But then again, the only photos they saw were of this Red 3, and they're just told. Yeah. And George probably told them, this is Luke's X-Wing, this exact photo. So even then, he didn't care about the stripes. And, and even when they made the movie, I bet if we watched the original cut, they probably all had the exact same stripes.
No,
originally.
They don't.
But they probably did, and it probably wasn't a thing. No. But either way, here we have
and then later on, when you got that thing countless times where like Sam Witwer, they have recordings where like during interviews and other things where Sam and Dave and them are sitting there, and Dave says something like, well, Padme's never met Anakin's mom, and then Sam looks at him and goes, "Yeah, he did in the freaking movie." Like he met her in the movie. So they don't get Star Wars right, even though they're supposed to be the ones who know it all. So I think they really put in 1139 thinking that that's what it is and not 1138. They think it was THX 1139, like whoever wrote this.
It's the debit star. So what this is a perfect, when I saw it, I thought of, Indiana Jones and, the big warehouse where they keep all the stuff and the things that just goes on and on and on forever. And Costco. So this is a mix between Costco and that warehouse in Indiana Jones. It's full of the gold.
It's an IKEA. It actually looks like IKEA's.
It looks a lot like IKEA.
Yeah, IKEA's pick room where you go and grab your stuff.
Yeah, that too.
Sorry about that.
Your apology is accepted.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It makes my heart soar like the eagle.
So yeah, another couple of more great shots like this. This shot better than the previous, as his emotions are building up until he just breaks out in sheer joy and laughter, and then
I like how he ducked his head under it and got him splashing down.
He's he's rubbing it on him.
But I noticed it as well. This was the most CGI looking scene in the whole series.
The worst CGI in many years across all formats of everything.
Kind of reminded me of Lord of the Rings a little bit, and with the dragon and his gold, and
how hard would it have been to
Goonies?
So how hard would it have been to just paint a bunch of washers gold and just have somebody push them? I don't know. I don't know.
I'm sure there is some of that lack, but I think they added to it.
That was awful.
It almost looked like AI to me. Does he have four thumbs and 8 fingers?
And the way that it was rolling, I don't know. That was just that's the worst thing I've seen in a long time.
And then the nice cuddly music starts happening, and one by one,
I thought that girl's name was Farah for so many episodes.
Fern?
Yeah, I thought it was Farah.
I want her patches now. I think all patches are cool.
Oh, all patches are cool.
Oh yeah, Fern hangs or loves, hugs her mom.
Yeah.
And BB hugs her mom and her aunt, right?
And yeah. And
then her work partner.
Give her a little adjustment on the.
And then Wim and Wim's pops, which seemed to me, I still think Wim is kind of the main character of the show. He's like the Luke farm boy. And then the Blue Elephant crew hug. But where's his dad?
Be right back.
We'll be here.
What are the chances that and this I think is a possibility, could Wim's dad be the supervisor? Not Wim, Neil.
Neil's dad?
He's never in these scenes.
I mean, I don't know. Well, we did see
maybe he sounds British.
Where did we see him? We saw him earlier in the episode.
We have seen him. Yeah, we saw him originally in a painting on the wall. And then we saw him once where where did we see him? It wasn't last episode, it was the episode before. I'm trying to think of what scene it was. But yeah, he was just a big, tall, grumpy man with tusks.
Well, if he is the supervisor, I just hope we get some super badass fight. Right, because he obviously looks like a guy, like a black chrysanthemum, can hold his own kind of.
He looks like a fighter, yeah.
Oh yeah, he looks like a bad boy, don't he? The Borg.
It's definitely the Borg.
The Borg.
Scrooge McDuck, yeah, a lot of that DuckTales vibe too, right? Yeah. Richie Rich, DuckTales.
Gosh, the animation of the gold coins in Duck and whatever
was better.
Was way better.
And that's hand drawn cartoon.
God, that was so.
Casino scene in the sequels, yeah, there's a lot of that too.
I stopped and went, "What in the shit is that?"
Neil's dad was in the message.
Talk about an oversight. If the 1139 is the most atrocious mistake, if it was, then that's way up there with it.
So not only do we get one lightsaber whammy in this episode. We get a second lightsaber whammy when he literally pulls it out on like women and children.
Yeah, well,
and one man,
and wins Dad. Yeah,
but it's all women and
doesn't
children
seem like
except
the
for him.
alpha top dog of the planet,
And then we fade back a little bit, see how awesome the ship looks, and yeah, man. And he actually walked like 3 or 4 steps closer with it lit here, and roll credits.
Yeah.
So yeah, I strongly believe, especially after 3/4 through this episode, that Jod will not redeem himself in any way, shape, or form. Like, great acting by him, but when he turned on the kids into like a pissed off drunk uncle, just a mad adult person with kids, I just like, yeah, there's no coming back from that.
Well, does he the only 2 options, the only things that could be is he finds out the supervisor is the pirate captain. He has a big fight with him, kills him, explains all that, and then somehow, because like you said, you think you're going to see him in Mandoverse or whatever, like he has to leave, right? Or come to good terms with these people or get away.
Or they let him go.
Right.
But are they
gonna let him go knowing how to get there with being at odds with him?
Well, we gotta look at it. So if they do let him go, he could only go in that ship, right? Unless there's more of those ships on that planet, which allow them to go through those satellites without getting zapped. I'm going to assume there are more of those ships on this planet at this point. Like, it would be kind of weird that the people can't get off the planet. Not only they're not allowed, but there's not one vehicle on that planet that flies up into space. We've seen buses.
There's probably more down under the ground anyway.
Yeah, I think so. So I bet you they make a deal. Here you go. Let's fill your ship full of pirate gold and get the F out of here. Or right now on the ship is laying down on the floor is a robot and its headless body and a mouse that's crying. So right now that mouse, he's chewing wires back together in magical space rat form.
Well, no, bilge rats.
Space rat.
What if bilge rats?
What if
bilge rats have solder for saliva?
Exactly. He's been melting everything together.
Saliva, and they're soldering it together right now. He's in there.
If Shmi doesn't come back, then will the bilge rat start hanging out with Lobot girl?
Yeah.
And be her little, saliva watering creature.
Well, now this is our last opportunity for like theories and predictions on how this series will end, and I think it'll end with a little bit of a cliffhanger, like I said, like Acolyte did, which was a big cliffhanger, really. But leave it, like I said, this episode could have ended last night, and I'm happy with it. It's a series finale. I thought this was pretty cool. Left something unanswered at the end. It left a couple things unanswered. What the supervisor is and what happens to the kids and the family. But
it left like the entire story. The whole point of
but
watching.
Now we have one whole episode that they can dedicate to those 2 or 3 unanswered questions, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to get introduced to at least one new character, if he's real, a robot, or an alien or not, or a skeleton, the supervisor. We will find out next week who the supervisor is, I believe. If we don't, that's messed, man.
I think we will too. The supervisor will find out next week. But the question I have is, do they send Jod to the supervisor alone? Like, it is kind of weird that he ignited the lightsaber.
No, I bet you he has to iMessage him.
So I think it is a little weird that he opened the lightsaber right there at the end where you got that screenshot, because it kind of like, is he going to threaten the families and the droids, or is he going to try and pass himself off as a Jedi emissary? You know what I mean? Like is he doubling down now and going, I am a Jedi of the Old Republic? You know what I mean? Like they sent
Well,
a
the
Jedi
kids,
emissary this time,
other than
so
the
he
kids
elevates
knowing
his
that
stand.
he's not an emissary,
Well, in the prequels, the Jedis were emissaries, right?
In a lot of times,
Anakin and Obi-Wan went to ships as emissaries and had to fight not the banking clan, but the Nemoidians.
Yeah.
But if he tries to say that, right, aren't the kids going to say, no, we just...
Well, no, he already told the kids, you got to go along with whatever I say, or I'm going to...
Yes.
He threatened them, so that might give them the out so that they go along with it.
They just don't
but,
say anything.
But it's like... So, you got to... Like you said, Black, you got a couple of options here. Like, if somehow Jod can get himself a face-to-face with the supervisor... And if he's alone with the supervisor, or it's just a security droid and him, is he going to chop the security droid in half and then kill the supervisor and take over?
Right.
So now he's in charge of the planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or is he going to because it is kind of weird. Like, the only way I think they would let him off the planet is if he followed through with their plan. And the robots filled the ship with as much treasure as fits on it.
Yeah.
And then he just left with that amount of gold. But it seems to me that after he saw the vault and saw asked how many vaults there were,
1,100. Yeah.
that in his mind he's going, how do I get all of this? Like all 1,100
I'm the king
vaults.
of the galaxy now. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so
killing the supervisor and taking over his role.
Yeah, taking over would be a way that he gets all of it. But the other side of it is if he does leave, it could be that he's thinking like, okay, if I leave with whatever treasure fills the ship, I can then tell my pirate crew, see, look, this is only one ship full of what's down there. There's 1,100 vaults that have way more than this. You know what I mean? Like, and he's going to get every pirate in the galaxy to come together as like a group, and they're just going to storm this planet or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's going to have some kind of plan
I don't think that'll happen. I just want to point out when he pulls out this lightsaber, there is droids here. There's a droid right here, and there's droids over here and over here.
Yeah.
So the droids don't really care, from what we see, that he's ignited a weapon, and they should,
Well, that's what I'm saying. If he's a Jedi, if he passes himself off as a Jedi, if he doubles down and says, I'm a Jedi from the Old Republic.
Yeah, but who's to say these droids even know what a Jedi is, right? Like,
well, why wouldn't they?
Well, they might not know what a little four-eyed space rat is either, right? Like,
the Jedi were guardians.
It's not part of their programming.
Yeah, I think that they would know.
For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians.
This droid could be 11 days old, for all we know.
Oh, come on!
They could be building
the main computer where they get all their information has Jedi in it. The kids have a storybook about the Jedi. Like, come on.
And they plan their
but the
Jedi.
The droids don't read those storybooks. That's what I'm saying. It's not part of their programming to teach them lore and history, and maybe not even algebra. Like, they don't know everything. They just do what they're told to do, and they're built for a purpose. Like, if their purpose is to do this, then that's what they do. Like, even right now, we make robots. They have a purpose, though. They put the left door on the GM truck. The other door puts the right door on and that's all. They don't know who Snoopy is. They just know.
No, they are.
The door on.
Well, when the robot arm puts the thing on the truck and it goes boop 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 and puts the things in, and then it's going over here. In those split seconds that it's flying over here, it's accessing the World Wide Web and watching Skeleton Crew.
It's watching the latest after show.
Yeah, yeah, and then it picks up the next door.
But yeah, no. So literally, this is our time. We got to speculate. We got to guesstimate. We got to percolate and shake it all up.
Yeah.
And here you go. Here's episode 8. What happens?
like I said, I think it's Jod confronting the supervisor. That's what I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I mean, there's not much more to do with the kids. I mean, like, I don't really know how it's gonna. I'm not sure how you would play it out from a writing standpoint. What else are the kids and the parents gonna do in this situation? I think most of the story that's left is what is Jod gonna do confronting the supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, the supervisor is confronted, which I still think is the pirate captain.
Yeah.
One of them gets killed. You know, maybe the pirate maybe we find out, oh my God, the supervisor is the captain, but he's like a badass, so he just offs Jod, right? What if Jod just gets knocked off like Brutus? Right?
Yeah,
So
I don't
like,
know.
just
Yeah.
wham, like we don't care about your story. And then that's like the whole big takeaway of, oh, the man behind the curtain is the captain, you know?
Yeah,
and
Prophet's got a good idea. Yeah,
The
Prophet's
kids
got
will
an
save
idea.
the day
Maybe.
with the help of the robot and the mouse. I agree 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
But Jod, I don't think Jod will die.
No, I don't
Like,
either. Because
I pulled up that picture again to show that plank, like, you know,
Right.
the walk the plank, and how we've seen like Luke fall down a chamber, and the Emperor fell down a chamber. Darth Maul fell down a chamber. Han Solo fell down a chamber. So literally everyone but like 4 people have fallen down a chamber in Star Wars at this point. So I just have a small feeling, 33% chance Jod is going down the chamber.
He's going down the chamber.
Just as another nod to chambers in Star Wars.
Well, I
and
think
stuff. But he'll live.
he has to confront the supervisor. One option is that Jod is, taken out, which is probably unlikely, like you said. And then the other 2 options would be Jod takes out the supervisor, who is the Captain Renard, and then he either takes over as the supervisor, and the little Stephen Fry, right? It's just like the voice changer that they use when they're doing the claw.
Yeah.
Or he's able to, in a way, redeem himself to the children and everybody, being able to say, hey, I went up there. Here's the supervisor. It's that captain. Y'all have been, completely fooled for the last however many generations by this guy. And then everything comes to light, which would be the way that he would redeem himself, right? Like, he's not going to tell the kids, oh, hey, I'm sorry about that shit back there. But if he outs the supervisor as being the captain, and that he's perpetuated this lie for his own gain, the Captain Renard's gain, and the whole galaxy as they know it is not even real or true to what they know as the story, that would be his redemption. And then whatever, they either say, hey, we got a job for you, or, oh, here's some money, get out of here. But I think he will be, in a way, redeemed.
yeah, maybe. Well, to see.
And I just think that because that's, like I said, that's a huge, like, man, like when I was a kid, like whatever, when you watch John Wayne movies and everything, like the bad guy is the bad guy is the bad guy. And then, but the modern age is all about, mulligans, baby. It's all about, I knew that I did all these, irrehensible things, but I feel bad about it. And everybody should forgive me. And because that's what everybody wants, right? That's what everybody wants. So they want their stories to be like that now.
Yeah,
Instead of the good guy being the good guy his whole life, and the bad guy being the bad guy, and evil not prevailing. That's too much for today's, whimsical morality of people. So I think he is redeemed through outing the supervisor as being the evil captain who's been basically keeping this planet and all the people under, prisoner, and lying to him.
Without him even really knowing it, though.
I'm just pulling up the final trailer we had. Like, we had lots of trailers. This is the final trailer. Do you guys see it on the screen here?
Yeah.
Is it sharing?
Yeah.
You can
So
barely see that.
See the lightsaber, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like black. There's black. They've added black to it.
Yeah, it's definitely a different
You don't know. You don't necessarily know it's a lightsaber. You see something, but you don't know it's a lightsaber yet.
Yeah. So this and it's because it's so dark too. Like I haven't changed anything. Lucasfilm made this trailer and made those screenshots that I saw. So they've obviously darkened this and blurred stuff.
Yeah,
but we do
definitely noticeably different.
We don't see the pirate blaster either on this side. But yeah, it doesn't obviously look like a lightsaber, really.
You can't trust me.
Well, it kind of does when it shakes there.
Yeah.
When it moves, it kind of does.
Trust me.
You're a Jedi, right?
But I think we're going to see X-Wings again.
Of course.
Just because otherwise, them being on this series twice is completely irrelevant and pointless.
Well, here's a question. Do you think by the end of the last episode, the Maelstrom barrier is actually brought down? And now the planet's revealed to the rest of the galaxy.
Unless the rebellion can do that somehow.
Well, they're the New Republic, right? We're in the post Jedi.
The New Republic.
No, but I mean, because like theoretically, if you were thinking about designing this planet, perhaps the only way to take that barrier, the Maelstrom, down is from on the planet.
Right.
So maybe Jod does figure out a way to get into the tower and see the guy face to face, and one of the things in there is the way to shut down the barrier, and those things all turn off, and the barrier.
Yeah,
the
possibly.
And he's gonna how many pirates are still? The big main ship is still left out there waiting, right? So the bulk.
Yeah, because. Well, if you think about it, if Jod does have it in his head to be like, okay, somehow I have to get because he's still talking about, I need a message to go to my ship outside.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He wants those pirates to come and help him get the rest of the treasure.
Knock out
Well, if he's still thinking that way, then maybe he gets in with the thing and is like, how do I turn off the barrier? And figures out a way to do that. Like, would you think that's something we could possibly see? Is them shutting off the Maelstrom and those satellites or whatever we saw that turn from red to green? They just turn off, and the Maelstrom dissipates. You know.
Now that you mention that does make a lot of sense. And they, you remember when they were on that other planet that mirrors their planet, right? And they had the big gun on the school. And we all kind of thought that was foreboding. To say, we're going to see At-Aten's big gun on the school. So yeah, maybe the shield comes down, and Jod doesn't, and maybe Jod doesn't get redeemed. He brings the shield down. The pirates are coming in.
Yeah.
Surprise! Here's our school mascot.
Our school cannon. Our school cannon. Yeah.
And just knocks them out of the sky, and it's like a non-issue. And then, which we could still learn that the I keep wanting to say supreme leader, whatever the guy. The supervisor.
It took us 7 episodes to remember that, though.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't think of that, but and that can still be revealed that the supervisor is the.
What do you think it is?
Yeah.
I can't find it, but there's one more scene from the trailers we haven't seen, and it's the kids in that supervisor room with their parents, and we don't see Jod. So either he's just not on screen to the left or whatever, or he's not there in the supervisor tower, but their parents are. So,
or he's been smoked.
So I'm assuming, I don't think he's been smoked, but I don't think he kills any of the parents because they're in this scene, right? So although we're made to think he's about to slice and dice limb from limb, the fine folks of At-Aten. But I don't think he will because they're in the next episode.
As the first scene of the next episode, he's gonna have his saber, and then he's gonna like Obi-Wan stance.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Look, I just unlocked a new one.
Balloons.
Yeah,
they definitely don't trust him now. I think the first 2 or 3 times they fell for his shenanigans.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
He's an adult. He knows how to swindle.
I mean, what does
we all do, right?
Delilah? Like, I know that
that's
I
a good
did
point.
Those other times, but
they could shut down all those defense systems and whatnot. Be interesting to see. See,
Big
Chief,
six
thanks
guy
for stopping
G4.
by. Interesting to see what happens with the whole. All that money is not going to pirates. It's going to the First Order somehow. Like that's. I'm not confirming it. I'm just thinking. Yeah, someone's going to use it. There's going to be a space cannon on that too, right?
Yeah.
But I think that money is going to the bad guys somehow.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I agree. I think that
And
I
don't think
almost
the
wonder
pirates.
if it's going to be like that's the other side of it is like, is this something that Palpatine set up in every planet? Like, are we supposed to assume now that the great work is that every single one of these planets were all 6 or 7 of them, however many there were all making money for the Old Republic?
That's what we don't know. We know from
Or-
the owl lady is that there's 9 planets and they've
it
all
was
been
7.
destroyed except for Atten.
Yeah. But we don't know what the other planets were making as part of the great work. You know,
I'm
call it
gonna
the great work.
assume the same thing. So I'm gonna even assume that if they went back to that planet and opened up that soccer field, do you know what I mean? Or went back to that planet with this same ship. Remember, we got 1 episode left. They're not going to any other planets, I don't think.
They're not. But
If they go
but
back
I'm
to
just-
that planet, they
I'm
could
just trying to say,
use
like,
the auto thing and go to the same place and go underground and have 1,100 more vaults. Like that's
yeah,
my bet.
but what I'm saying is, like, did Palpatine? Now I know that Palpatine set up Operation Cinder to like wipe out planets. If in the situation where he died, he would get his revenge by wiping out those planets. And then he set up like that other operation. I can't remember what it was called, but it was in the aftermath stuff.
Yeah.
And then, but I don't remember in canon, even a book or comic book, that directly tied Palpatine to the First Order. I thought the First Order.
They haven't done that yet.
I thought the First
10
Order
years
was something.
of space they have to still explore, and if they want to.
Yeah, but I thought
combine the
originally
sequels to
the
Star
idea
Wars.
was the First Order independently rose from
Yes. With
people out in the
Thrawn
outer rim,
and that
like sort of putting
faction
this together.
of hologram Imperial remnants. They're keeping the Empire alive if they know or don't know that there's somewhere the Emperor is being cloned. But Moff Gideon obviously knows. So someone's contacting the Emperor.
The Exegol. Well, if you still like the sequels, the Exegol ships and Palpatine's return was not part of the First Order. That was a separate thing that Palpatine set up and put in power.
I don't think Palpatine
because they say in the movie
he was alive 200 years ago.
Yeah, they actually say in the movie that Palpatine's agreed to give you those ships as part to now join the First Order. You know what I mean?
Here's some theories that people commented on our last video last week and on a couple of my social media posts. So I don't remember the names. I didn't take notes, but somebody said the supervisor is Mace Windu. And I read that and I'm like, ha, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
That's funny.
How old would he be? This and that. And then someone else said, and they tied all these things together. Okay, it's 200 years ago when this all started, this whole Atten group of 9 planets. That is the High Republic era, right? So the High Republic era is all Jedi stuff. Lots of Jedi business going on. So there's lots of Jedi. So someone said, oh, it's a Jedi. Like that's
so this was a Jedi plan, not an Empire or a Palpatine plan.
The Republic was good guys before Order 66. And then the Republic became the new Galactic Empire.
Yeah.
And he changed the logo. New logo alert.
But so since these people are still making Republic credits and not Imperial credits,
yes,
it was set. This whole idea was set in motion before Palpatine even was a senator, probably, and this was like. So it's all a Jedi thing, like in the High Republic era. Interesting.
Yeah, and Prophet makes a good point too. Is Palpatine kept it hidden and he actually did refer to it as the final order in his grand speech to Kylo or Rey or both, I guess, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
but yeah,
Yeah.
he did call it the final order. Good memories.
yeah, that is right. He did the final order. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I still think there's no supervisor. It's just someone's iPhone sending out messages to the droids. It's a 200-year-old iPhone, so it's like an iPhone 1. The same one that people
So
use to take pictures
yeah,
of
but-
UFOs.
so now I'm thinking this wasn't set up for nefarious purposes.
No, it wasn't.
was-
It wasn't. But
yeah,
it
like
will,
I was thinking this whole plan.
the
I was
funds will
thinking
get
this whole
used
plan of
for
7
nefarious
planets that are
purposes, I
vacant.
believe.
What's that?
I think these funds will get used for nefarious purposes, though. I don't think these funds are going to build a bunch of X-Wings for the Republic, or I think it's going to be used to build the First Order, is what I think. And
Like
that's
somehow
how
it's gonna.
Is Thrawn going to be the Mandoverse character that comes into play next week? Someone's coming into play next week from the Mandoverse. Apparently, the director of that episode 8, I think he already directed episode 2. Apparently, he has a cameo in this series. We don't know what it is yet. Maybe that director is a supervisor.
Huh.
That's just another thing to think about. Usually, when that, like Filoni's made a cameo, a lot of them have. Most of them have in the series, right?
You know what?
Not
you know what
key
might
characters, but
you know what might be fun and interesting is if they, all the crap goes on, the kids do their thing, the parents do their thing, they go up in that, and they turn off the shield and say there's no more supervisor. Like Jod gets away, the supervisor's dead. The people of the planet figure out that they've been
bamboozled.
So they turn off the shield. Everything goes away. The planet gets revealed to the galaxy, and boom! Right out of hyperspace comes the Chimera, and Thrawn's hovering above the planet, and then the series ends. That's it. The series
very
ends.
realistic, John. I think that's if we're not going to see Luke Skywalker or Carson Teva, someone like a good guy. We're not seeing Ahsoka because we know she's stranded on a planet, right? So her and her friends, except didn't he escape though?
He's on the Chimera, isn't he?
So Ezra did escape.
No, he left on that ship. Remember, he stole the Imperial ship and landed.
So Ezra could be one of the good guys that shows up. I doubt it. He would be my least choice also. But Carson Teva and some X-Wings, and maybe Thrawn comes in.
Yeah, because what I'm trying to get at is
witches.
If your theory is that this funds the First Order, then whoever shows up after the planet gets revealed should have to be somebody that you could realistically believe could end up help taking all the money on the planet to help fund the First Order. So if Ezra shows up, Ezra's not the one who funds the First Order.
No, I'm just thinking
it's not going to be a good guy. I don't think it's going to be a good guy that shows up at the end.
I just think because it's possible in this timeline, and he's not lost on a planet. He's not dead. He is alive, and he is with the good guys now. So he could be hanging out with Carson Teva and the big alien guy from Rebels.
But I'm just saying that those guys wouldn't be the ones to show up because then the Republic would take all the credits. And why would they?
I think there has to be some good guys. I think. Do you know what I mean? Like I mentioned earlier today, why did we see X-Wings at all in this series? They served no purpose. They shot a couple lasers on the moon, and they shot a couple of lasers on
definitely
the
could
planet.
Be nothing but fan service, and
and they're setting up the squadron show.
Yeah,
they're not setting up with 8 seconds of airtime.
Yeah, they keep setting up in every single show. They show the X-Wings and they show how they've been policing the galaxy with these X-Wings because they're going to eventually have a show.
Scenes of dialogue and stuff, right? Not just like a flyby.
Yeah, but that just still adds to the lore of them being a.
I think.
Let's just say that we're going to see that owl the owl, Kim the owl, and good
The
guys.
owl's not coming back.
And we're gonna see some good guys.
No,
I don't think the good guys will have lightsabers, but we're gonna see some good guys. We're gonna see Kim the owl again, just because they left her open with the X-wings, and she knows where the planet is. So 3 + 11 equals. We're gonna see Kim.
I think if anyone,
But I don't have any
shows up,
other
it'll
big
be
theories.
that
I don't have any other big theories except.
I think it's possible that the X-wings were only in it to try to bring in some "What's up, Blue Sasquatch?" to bring in
Hey, Blue.
some Star Wars look and to have them in the trailer.
Yeah, there you go.
I think
Yeah,
it's
because
totally
they were out.
possible.
They had just as much airtime in the trailer as they did in the episode. Like,
Right, which could absolutely dictate that is why they're even in there. You know, they say, hey, you know, we don't have a whole lot of Star Wars stuff going on in this or anything in these trailers. You know, we're gonna black out the lightsaber, you know, to a degree in the trailer because we don't want them to see it. How is anybody gonna know this is a Star Wars show? Well, hey, it's easy to throw in some X-wings.
Yeah.
No. So Prophet's like that lady
up...
led him to the wrong planet, but she did that on purpose.
Oh, there you go.
Because she knew Jod's a bad mamma jamma, right?
Yeah,
don't trust him. As everyone said, don't trust him. And that female bounty hunter. She's a big actress. We're going to see her again in the Mandoverse. So I think that's cool.
That's who we want.
The last thing I saw in an interview with KB, the actor who plays KB, the young lady.
Mm-hmm.
They asked her what's going to happen in this episode. What if you had what one word? If you had one word to describe the last episode of the season, and she said, "Death." That's what she said. So we all know
Thrawn shows up and just takes everything and destroys the whole planet.
Yeah, it's all aerial bombardment. That's.
Could you imagine if that beautiful city of Coquitlam where I live just gets bombarded by Thrawn?
Yeah.
He just drops a bunch of AT-ATs on them and boom, go to town. With all his zombie troopers. Man,
well, he can't destroy it to
that would be an ending
until he gets the gold off, right? Because you don't want all the gold, but
Well, no, you could destroy the city and then go underground and get the gold. Why not? You know?
Well, does he know that it's underground? You know, I mean, I wouldn't think.
No, he wouldn't suspect right now. Yeah,
he'd say, hey, you know, I mean,
I am leaning more and more towards this. It's like it would make sense, and it seems like it would be a Disney thing to do because I know they want to try and connect the sequels to stuff and make it all sort of flow into it so that the sequels have more meaning.
Oh, 100%.
So, if they've got this much gold or whatever the Republic credits are made out of on this planet, then, all those vaults could fund an army like the First Order. And that kind of would make sense which is why I'm leaning more and more into, maybe we will see someone that we have seen in another show previously. But I think it has to be a bad guy because that way the bad guy could be the way that the First Order gets this funding, gets this money. Because
if anybody could see Jod make a deal with,
with Thrawn
or whoever, right?
But the way I look at it is if anybody from the New Republic, Hera or Zeb or Ezra or anybody, Carson Teva, like anyone, shows up on the planet and sees that there's 1,139 vaults full of money, then the New Republic is going to take that money and use it. They're not just going to go, oh, we know where that money is. Let's leave it there for no reason. And then eventually some bad guys will come and take it. No, they would immediately start emptying those vaults and take it back to the New Republic to use for their efforts. You know what I mean? So
okay, here's something to think about. So if that place is a mint where they just print money, and because it's all droids, they print money 27 hours a day, 9 days a week, 40 days a month, right? Like that's all they do is just print this money. There's no reason to stop.
36 days a year,
so there's no reason to stop unless something goes boom.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to call this right now. I guarantee you that planet stops producing the monies. Otherwise, somebody's the richest pirate captain on the planet in our universe.
Yeah.
Either the Empire is rich beyond means, or the First Order is rich beyond means, which is realistic because they're building a whole new military, so to speak. That's not all zombies. And we know it's not the Rebels or the New Alliance or Rebel Alliance or Republic Alliance. We know it's not the good guys because they're never rich.
Yeah.
They never have bottomless pockets to buy more X-Wings and spaceships, as we know from the sequels. Like they're building ships out of garbage on that salt planet. Like they're poor.
Yeah.
And the First Order is not poor.
Yeah, the First Order had incredible weapons and
So either they get it,
base.
or it all. But why? That means the First Order should still be producing these credits somehow, right? Because why would you stop? You can just have bottomless money for forever. But maybe something happens to the planet, and nobody.
Yeah, unless they go the route of the New Republic does get control of the planet. And then what happens is they put a senator or someone in charge, and that senator secretly is someone whose goal is to set up the First Order and bring back the Empire.
I think that's very realistic.
You know what I mean? So again, the First Order comes from someone within, just like Palpatine was someone within the Republic. You know what I mean? Like,
I can dig it.
Yeah.
If there's gonna be an episode 2.
A series,
season 2. If there's going to be a season 2, perhaps the Thrawn emerging and the First Order taking over, maybe that would be the story of season 2.
Yeah, that's true.
Since we only have one episode left, which may be 19 minutes, or I guess we don't know, might be a 40-minute duo.
Man, it better not be 19 minutes. I hope
we're getting that every time. So
shortest episode ever.
The shortest episode of all of them. Yeah. But Prophet's got a point. Like, why does anyone else really know about this planet?
Yeah.
Why would anyone like Thrawn show up?
Yoda should know, right?
But how would Thrawn know about it?
Yoda's dead
right
now, but I mean, Yoda, because he's one of those species that have been around hundreds of years. Green Jedi lady, Acolyte's director's girlfriend, she would know. She's hundreds of years old, right? She's from the High Republic era, as we know. She's older somehow, right? Interesting. Yeah, I wonder.
I would think that if there's going to be a season 2, then the Thrawn taking over would be maybe the big story of that season. Whereas, because we only have the one episode left, it maybe deems that it would be, like we were talking earlier, Jod and the supervisor get into it. Jod takes over as the new supervisor and talks into the Stephen Fry. The supervisor says everything is fine, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because
or he gets the mic and says, "Hello there."
Hello there. Yeah. I think what you're talking about with funding the First Order and everything makes perfect sense and would be an awesome story. But how, are we going to clean that up in 20 minutes?
Yeah, that comes later. You're right.
And
that has to be.
Prophet's saying there's a rumored 50-minute episode next week, so that would be fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah, if we do get something like that, then that would be.
Love that. Because it seems like there's not an hour's worth of story to tell. This episode is pretty good catching up on us, getting everyone home back to the planet. Brutus got killed, Smee got killed. Things are happening. So I'm quite excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. And like John said earlier on, it's going to be a great series for us to go back and rewatch 4 episodes at a time.
Well, this last episode definitely has the potential to take it from, Dean and I's 5.5 or 6 to 8.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Definitely.
It still has a chance then.
Yeah. And like like I said before, if Andor is 10, that's the one thing with a lot of people's ratings. Like if Andor is 10, even though something is really good and you like it, you still have to remember that cap.
I
Yeah.
get
Like
ya.
if Andor is 10, then I have to say like, well, there's really no way that in the next 20-minute, maybe 40-minute episode, like it's not going to jump to a 9.8.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it can't. It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Unless Lax Sivrak shows up and and gives Brutus the mouth to mouth, and they both come in and
Gives
take over.
Brutus
Like I'm
mouth to
just
mouth.
saying, there's
Is that a power that Shavastians have? Is they could breathe life back into fellow Wolfmen?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's canon.
Was it
You
a
said
silver? Was it a silver bullet that shot Brutus? I think not.
Hey,
Yeah.
there you go. That's what a better way. There's not a better way to end the episode of the after show.
Yeah, I got to go to bed.
I want to thank my
past
super
my
host,
bedtime.
Super John, and my general host, General Still Alive, Sivrak, and all the cool cats in the chat. Please slap that like button. If you haven't already subscribe. And there's links for these two fine folks also in the description. You could subscribe to their social medias and all their YouTube channels and all that good stuff.
Check out the new cooking channel. The new cooking channel is up. The Super Awesome Food Show, and you can make quick and easy food.
It's awesome, John. I watched every video so far, man, and
Me too.
And you went from 8 to 30 subscribers, and it looks like all of them are watching your videos. So you're off to a great start.
Yeah,
man.
cool.
Great new channel, John. I love it.
Fantastic. Me and Lack might cook differently, but we'll still watch your show to learn stuff. We'll learn how the ladies do it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna do a bacon
Thanks,
video.
everybody. And remember, Talk Like a Pirate Week next week. Arr.
Yeah. Arr.
Oh, and Tuesday, hold on. Tuesday starts the Super Awesome Science Show, where we're going to start talking about ghosts, Bigfoot, UFOs, and everything else paranormal and supernatural.
Awesome stuff.
And these guys will both eventually make appearances on the shows.
Yeah,
excellent.
Right.
So I know it's Thursday this week. We're a day late. Had some power issues here in Canada yesterday. Next week, let's set it up for Wednesday. Wednesday, the day after, it's a good time to do it. It's fresh in our minds. So we'll see everyone next week. Arr.
Let's go.